Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com. Hello and welcome to SciTech Culture. My name is Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern to talk about work meetings that are perhaps not as productive as what we would like and what Elon Musk has to say about it. Had a few of those in your time? I know I've had the odd meeting that hasn't really gone anywhere.
Oh, yeah. I think there's one stage, not where I'm currently employed, but earlier on where I think there was a period where I was doing about 20 hours of meetings a week. Very hard to get anything done.
Yeah.
So I know all about this.
And I used to work a previous job where it was a fairly repetitive but intense kind of day, and the team meeting ended up being some downtime where I don't know if much actually happened. There was the odd interesting piece of information from on the high that came down, but yeah, I don't know if much else was going on in those, but but anyway, so we'll kick this off. There was an article on the ABC about Elon Musk saying you should walk out of bad work meetings. Essentially, if you're sitting there, it's going along, not much is happening, and you're not seeing how you're going to contribute or have any input, and no one looks like they're going to be asking you for anything, and it looks like it's going to be a waste of your hour or two. Hopefully it's not two, because that's a long meeting. Elon's suggesting just walk out. Now, obviously you do it in a respectful way, but it's his rationale behind it. It's not rude to leave. It's rude to make someone stay and waste their time. Now, I don't know if that's really going to wash with your boss if you just stand up and walk out. I'm sure it'll make a great scene if you did that. What do you think about that, Steve? I just don't see it myself working. I think you just have to put up with it. I mean, we'll get to other suggestions in a minute as to why, but that sounds like someone who's at the top of the company that has the ability to walk out of a meeting if he thinks it's wasting his time.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's absolutely right. And I think he's got a point for all of us, but the truth is that, you know, if he'd done any of the sort of team building sessions that everyone else has to do, you'd realise that there's still probably value in sitting it out, even though I probably agree with him you should walk out, but there's probably more value in sitting it out than there is in leaving, because once somebody's invited you, you know, it's better just to refuse to go, create another commitment, than to leave halfway through. If you're in, you're in.
And that's where it's suggested a little bit further on that maybe what you should be doing is, if you're finding it's a waste of time, that you find ways to suggest better ways of going forward in the future to whoever's actually, running it, kind of thing. And if you have the ability to, you could potentially have the ability to influence that if you happen to hit on the right person that can take on that advice.
Yeah, this seems to me just to be, more good advice from somebody who works in a business management, sort of area, but never actually has to sit through any of these meetings, yeah. Sure, take over the agenda yourself, make more work for yourself, get people back on track, and then, make a name for yourself that you're disruptive at meetings. Great advice.
What about, so there's also different types of meetings, and I've obviously been involved in, and as we all have, I'm sure, the in-person meetings, but there's also teleconferences, video conferences, and video conferences in particular, I can actually find quite draining, because you have to actually you have to give the appearance that looks like you're concentrating, because you've got a camera on you and they can see everything you're doing. Now, that sounds a bit silly, because if you're in person, it's the same thing, but it might be that the person's looking in another direction for half a second, so that you can relax for a bit. And I found,
or they frame their camera really badly.
Yeah, like you only see like the up to here or something, and there's like plenty of headspace.
Or you see a bookshelf of things with nothing to do with what you're working on. But it's interesting. I completely agree. I do find video conferencing quite intense because you've got a singular focus. But the flip side is I find it much easier, much more efficient with your teleconferences, because as soon as you run out of things to say, no one likes dead air. So you say, thanks very much. I think we've got everything. Anything else we need to cover? No, see you later. Yeah. And everyone's satisfied then. Everyone loves to sign out of a Skype or whatever other conferencing system they're in.
Yeah. The teleconferencing, the only tricky thing I find with that is that if you've got a couple of people who are on a bad or crackly line, or usually when they're dialing in by mobiles or whatever, and you're really struggling to, listen in, or they're sitting in a conference room and they've put the phone or the microphones, 5 meters away and you can barely hear them, and you're sort of sitting there. And I've got a headset that I use sometimes, and I'm really trying to get every last ounce of sound juice out of it to try and listen in on what's happening. So it depends, I guess, on the type of meeting and how it works. But I agree. The teleconference tends to be a lot more to the point and direct. Although I have to say, I have sat on some that haven't gone anywhere as well. And,
they're all right. They're the ones, if you're remote, you just hit mute and, play something on your phone. only chime in if there's anything of note.
Particularly those that where an argument starts between two of the participants, and you wonder what's going on. That's a good
time to knock yourself out of the, accidentally hang up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then not be able to reconnect.
Yeah, having technical problems. There's a lot of aspects to this too. I mean, having had different managers as well, they do things differently and, have different ways of conducting meetings. And occasionally over the years, I've even come across ones that also don't direct the meeting and almost leave it up to you as the employee to run it, even though they're the ones that are setting the work and agenda that's going to happen. I've found that scenario really challenging, because you almost don't know if what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's right. But that's okay. I mean, my only advice for that is just be confident. And, just close the meeting up as soon as possible.
Yeah, or I've been a bit sneaky on occasion and actually had meetings cancelled, especially if I'm the one that's, sort of sending the invite out or something like that. But it's... Look, I think this also plays in a little bit to the office politicking as well. So if you can't just... say whatever you want straight off the top of your head and say that, this is crap, waste of time, I'm walking out. I attended a fairly big stand-up meeting the other week where the presenter had, shall we say, put me offside quite clearly before the meeting started, because he was... And the reason why is that it's one of those crucial things around messaging to staff, and he was actually giving out the wrong messaging, and which is corrosive, because it in an environment where people are feeling a bit tense about a particular thing, if you're not saying the right thing, you could upset a lot of people, and
That's right.
And it was a bit difficult because he was fairly high up, and it wasn't just a case of me going in there and, talking over the top of him in the middle of the meeting and, sort of putting a stop to it. You got to watch how you do that sort of thing. And the net effect of it was that maybe it wasn't a waste of time meeting, but it was a meeting that could have gone a lot better. And provided the right messaging, and I found ways afterwards to have that message redirected back so that hopefully the next time it's run, it doesn't happen again. But I had to do it in a more office politicking kind of way, which meant going through a chain of command and providing feedback in that way.
Yeah, look, that's absolutely essential to be able to do that. I think the other thing, which we probably haven't covered off on, but is equally good, is that, it's quite fine to stay silent for a whole meeting. If you've got nothing to contribute, you may still be receiving something, or if you listen carefully and you're maintaining your relationships, meetings are great places before and after to talk to people. But I don't think I don't always see a need to to participate in meetings. I'm quite happy to sit there. And if someone else is speaking my point of view, I don't see much point in saying it again. So
absolutely.
Just give a nod, say thanks, and get the hell out of there.
And as an adjunct to that, it could be like a good way to collect any new information that is new to whatever it is that you're working on.
And that's principally why I don't think it's really that good an idea to just walk out of meetings, because it just it breaks down opportunities for communication. And I think what the expert in the attached article that we were looking at before, Ben, didn't really mention is that, not saying anything, but being in tune with what people are saying is very important.
Yeah.
And that's something that can help you out, next time you need to talk to someone or find someone who might have an answer that you need.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Steve, we might wrap it up there. And I guess hopefully I can just wish us all to have great meetings where we're not having our time wasted. And if we ever rise to the level of Elon, maybe then we can just walk out.
I will be walking out, but not before then.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so don't forget our website, scitechculture.com. You can get all of our links and content there. You can subscribe to our YouTube and Vimeo channels so you can watch us, all the back episodes, etc., and subscribe to our podcast feeds, and you can listen to us on your devices as well. So I hope you enjoy all the content there. All right, so that's it for this episode. We'll catch you next time.